May I show you this beautiful photograph? Thank you, Martin. Bye. Be a better coach. Professional EMS education. Sebastian Autenried. And we will start from the basics, how to be a great coach for beginners. Let's just imagine there's a client walking into your studio. He would like to try out EMS, and there is water and power, and there's somebody on the current controls. So you have to confide in the PT. And now Sebastian comes into play with all of his experience. He has written this standard volume, which is available in 4 languages now. He actually trains EMS trainers at the Glucker Kolleg. So he has a lot of experience. So what is the content that a qualified beginner's training should have for EMS? What is important when you look after trainers? Also seen from your perspective, the trainer's perspective, because even for a trainer, there are surprises that he or she has to be open to. Following situation. This happened about 2 years ago when I started my studio career. A gentleman called me and asked me to prepare him for 1 week. We had a telephone call for 5 minutes. He was 300 kilometers away from me, and it was a major project. It was about 4,000 or 5,000 euros, 3-4 training units per day. It was like a training camp. Let's just imagine there's a guy who wants to change his whole world around, slightly overweight, plus a few more disorders. And I said, okay, come in for an appointment before we get going. So let's sit down together, do a few screens like you just saw before to see how we can structure this week. Said and done. The guy sat in his car, came and saw me, and I asked me, what is my major role in this film? I have to become fitter. There is a big highlight for him, and I have to be prepared for this highlight. I found out that he was a soldier, and he had to go abroad again to Afghanistan, his third and last time, and he would leave his career and start with a new career. So the question is, of course, why do you know that you were not fit enough for the last mission? He was silent, I was silent, he was silent. 30 seconds later, he answered, well, I am a bodyguard. I just have to look after one person, 3 of us. And there was a fire battle. After 1.5 hours, he was 1 step too slow to actually provide cover for his colleague. And since this moment, this guy woke up with the idea, had I trained more, even after 1 hour, I would have been able to use my body with 7% body fat, 1 head bigger than myself, packed with muscles. I would have been able to go 1 step faster to be in the right position to provide cover for my person. And whenever I tell this story, I get goose pimples. And this is why I've created a high impact for motivation. And what's even more important, that's my job for the next 15 years, is to motivate you as trainers to really look at the basic stuff and not get lost in the tiny details, but get the basic things right. And you can imagine, I said there, okay, leave the car where it is, we'll get going right away, and I'll invest 110% so that you can do your job right next time around. My name is Autenried, and I'm really happy to welcome you here and to give you 10 big points, to give you a little more basic approach. It won't be any sophisticated stuff. It's not rocket science, but it is really a little reminder. The beginners, this is the point in a training career where you bring in the motivation. And this is the input for it. In the National League, in the Football League, there are big, big teams with lots of money and fantastic individual players that made the Champions League. And the following season, they are fighting to remain in the National League because, and they have this negative ideas. And then there are the small clubs, and they win the 3 first matches happily. And there's one motivation after the other, and all of a sudden, they are on Champions League course, en route for Champions League. And this is exactly what you have to do, whether you want to become faster, whether you want to manage stress better, or if you simply want to lose weight. And this is exactly the first point. Ask the right questions. Stop speculating. When a door opens and a new trainee walks in, stop speculating what you think that this trainee wants to have from you. You don't know. Nor do I know, although I've been in the business for 8 years now. Only the trainee knows it. Maybe even they don't know it. But they come with the right questions. So find out what they really want. Lose weight, for instance. Me in question. What do you want to reduce? Periphery, the diameter, or the body fat? Weight, of course. Okay, when I train with you, and we do this for half a year, and you lose 10 kilograms, but you still have the same size, would you be happy with me? No. No, they say. The other way around. If you weigh the same thing, but you are 2 sizes or 4 sizes less, you'd be happy. Oh, yes, I'd be happy, but it doesn't work. Yes, it does work. It is all about what the trainee wants. So ask the right questions, the correct questions, because they produce answers and you have to listen to these answers. There's nothing worse than talking to somebody and getting answers. I know exactly that my counterpart is not interested in it at all. My motivation goes downhill. So listen attentively. Second point, then describe the direction. Why would anyone contact a PT at a microstudio? Because they have failed doing it themselves. They need help and assistance. And will they get this help if we close our mouth? No. We are experienced. We know how this works. So what is the story? I listen. And I tell them the most difficult thing has been done. You've come here and you've made an appointment with me. From now on, confide in me. I'm experienced, and we will actually decide how many trainings we need per week, 1, 2, 3 times to get where you want to be. You've made the most difficult step. From here onwards, it will be hard, but it will not be difficult. Minimize risks. I guess most of you do this anyway. So please specify counterindications and test your trainees. Don't mistest them. This is what the Americans say. This is German engineering. The trainee is subjected to 2 hours of testing. Then we tell them what is bad for them for an hour. Then actually tell them for 5 minutes what was good. Don't forget about the practice. Do the hands-on bit. We have to move and get going. Next point. Once a week, 20 minutes. And this brings me to EMS. I'm not saying everyone out of the fitness club just do EMS. No, I won't do that in future either. I see this as one opportunity for training. And due to my training and due to my experience, I have the competence to say, I stand a fair chance of achieving your aim with once a week, 20 minutes. And we're talking about beginners for the next 10 weeks or so. Regardless of who comes, how sporty they are, Don't go for 2 trainings per week if you are talking about the first 10 weeks. It's a whole body workout. Most people are sitting there and they say, it sounds so great, you've convinced me, but between you and me and the lamppost, 20 minutes a week, is this enough? Does it produce an effect? Well, you've just said that I'm not walking my talk, but I am. Counter question, have you actually done the biceps pulls? Most will say yes. Have you ever lifted a heavy object? Have you done this for 20 minutes in a row? And they will say no. Okay, this is exactly what we will be doing with the whole body with EMS. For 20 minutes, we will be training the whole body with a high intensity. Actually, we're training much more than in conventional clubs in those 20 minutes. And this is to make them think. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially for people who want to change a lot. It is difficult for them to realize, well, my body needs regeneration. To quote Mark Verstegen, well, he's one of the biggest lecturers in the US. He says 20% effect comes from the training, 80% comes from the regeneration. This will be another of my points. But if I don't train, then of course regeneration won't work either. So regeneration without sports doesn't work. So once a week, 20 minutes, and then go from there after the 10th week. EMS, only do it with a coach. It is mega intensive, and we have to control our people. It is beginners, it's trainees, it's sports people who are not used to the stimulus. I do not train myself alone yet. Not even I do that. If I train on my own, I use another training method. I have my PT. I actually see other PTs in other cities, but I would never do EMS alone, and it is not recommendable. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody else. 7, the minimal effective dose and not the maximum tolerance. That's the point. What do I have to do in my trainee's body to achieve my aim, rather than what can I do with this body that is tolerated? There are 10% of the customers who say, well, 5 times a week. No. Training is an intensive, a high intense stimulus, which is over a certain tolerance. We can't do this 5 times a week. We can do mobility, stability. This is fine. This is all different. But if you do HIT, go for the minimal effective dose. Then think in fundamental movements. Individual muscles don't work, and this is just up and coming. Focusing on what you need as a human being. Fundamental movements. This is getting up and sitting down. Then we run forward. This is movement pattern number 2. Movement pattern 3 is bending forward, which is hip focus to lift things. Then rotation. Then pushing things away or pulling things and standing upright. And this is what I follow for my trainees, regardless of whether this is the soldier who wants to feel at ease or somebody who wants to lose weight or somebody who wants to become more mobile. Makes no difference. Always think in terms of fundamental movement patterns. If the person masters this, we can build upon it. But if not, even if it's a competitive athlete, if he does not master these fundamental things, you have to start with the basics. And the most important thing, have fun with your trainees. And this is where you fail most of the time. Everything collapses. If the trainee doesn't have fun, he will come for the first week, maybe for the second, third, or fourth week, but it's a matter of time until he stops coming. It's like with myself. I need my car, and I love driving myself. If I wanted to do away with my driver's permit. This would be a disaster. It wouldn't take me longer with public transport to go to work, but it would be disgusting. I'm built that way. And it's like with our trainees, the same thing. To 80% of my customers, I'm just means to an end. They don't enjoy exercise. They simply do it because they want to have the effect. And they only get it with sports. But, and now the big but, and this comes from human behaviorism. If we do something that we have to, where we have to overcome obstacles, it starts being fun after a while. It's like with cooking and with public transport. Sooner or later, I would enjoy it. I would see the advantages. But until I reach this point, somebody has to take me by the hand. And this should rather be done with positive emotions and with fun. We could talk about hormones, for instance. When I have fun, I produce certain hormones that physiologically support my endeavors and make things easier. And actually stop the trainee from leaving after 10 jobs. And which makes me an integral part of his life. Do you know what? I don't care whether you actually do it with me or with somebody else, but do it. And do it with high quality. And the way you're sitting here, you cannot simply go for just any training method or exercise method. You have to have somebody who takes you by the hand, whether it's me or somebody else. So this is my pointer. Last point. And this is basically the end of my presentation. It was a long FIBO day. 10th is regeneration, therefore. This is 80% of the effect takes place in the regeneration area, whether it's active or passive. Massage, just some 10 minutes of me time, a good diet, drinking lots of water, which is really, really recommendable after EMS training. Please get used to the routine of offering your trainees a glass of water. This actually improves the regeneration period, and it is of elementary importance for the system. With a simple glass of water, you can move mountains. And make sure that your trainees see you again at the next appointment or the one after, and then look after them in a way that they know your PT is interested in your aims. And there's one word that describes it best, and that's empathy. Don't believe you think you know how the customer feels, but really feel your way into your trainee. I would be happy if I had interested you. I do the EMS training at the Gluckerkolleg, and my main message for you, regardless of the training, regardless of the trainees, educate, continuous education, always be up to date, be a better coach, and change the world with your trainees. Thank you very much for your attention, and thanks very much, Evelyn Koenig, for the beautiful introduction. And thanks to the Gluckerkolleg for inviting me to speak today. And I'll stay around as well at the Speaker's Corner, available for questions. And in 5 minutes, I will actually do a beginner's training in practice at Mia Bodytech. There won't be any English interpretation, unfortunately, because we can't arrange it technically. But whoever is interested, walk over there. See you there. Have a nice day. Hope to see you there.